Joining me today is Steve Norton, who's the Executive Director of the New Hampshire Center for Public Policy Studies. So, Steve, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I want to touch base first on sort of what your organization does, and then later I really want to get into some of the issues you're looking at. The wonk in me wants to get to those issues first, but I really want to set the context. Okay. Partisan, nonpartisan agenda.
Nonpartisan agenda. Organization was established in 1996, really because there was a belief that the legislature had no unbiased source of information. So plenty of information from advocacy groups and from the political parties, but no one who was just giving the facts. And that's really been our mission since that day. We're doing our job. If we successfully bring information to whomever, they become curious about it and they put aside their ideology and really look at the issues that we're trying to raise with information.
How do you stay nonpartisan? How do you not have a bent? When you do the research you do?
It's a great question. My board likes to say that I'm doing my job when I'm on the front page of the Union Leader getting beat up and also getting beat up on the front page of the Concord Monitor.
Okay.
And it's a very fine line. We really have to make sure that the information is clear, concise, without opinion, unless you're asked to weigh in on what that information says about a particular direction in policy, which we're more and more getting into trying to help people reach goals that the legislature or others might have.
So let's unpack that a little bit. So a big piece of this is just the data, really a clear articulation of the data.
Yep.
And that should be relatively unvarnished.
Correct.
It can be spun, as anybody who's looked at statistics.
That's correct.
And read Mark Twain, lies, damn lies, and statistics. Yep. We know it can be spun. But so you handle that. You try not to spin that at all. But when people start asking, what's the policy direction? How do you sort of be neutral to or just pro New Hampshire?
Well, our job is to make people curious. So when someone asks me, is there a single answer to this question? I'm likely to say no. What goal do you have in moving this policy forward? What does the data suggest about the possibility of meeting that goal? That's kind of the way we frame our response. We keep it 90% in the data because that's really, without argument, the most important part of our work.
Do you find you're used by the legislature?
We are used by the legislature when there's need for compromise, when a single party holds all the House and the Senate and the governorship. There tends to be an ideology that moves things along, but when issues of real importance to the state come up, we're generally asked to participate.
So what are the sort of issues that you're getting involved in? Because there's a million issues that you could be involved in.
That's right.
You don't have the resources, I'm sure, to do the work that you need to do it just.
Yep.
So what are the issues that you're really looking at?
Well, first let me tell you about how we choose our issues.
Okay.
We have a board of very well-respected, bipartisan board with business people, former legislators, state policymakers that help identify issues that are really important to the state going forward. So whether it's state budget issue or education or demographics or the economy, they set the agenda for the organization. Within that, in the last strategic planning process we went through, really one of the things that came through is demographic changes that are occurring in New Hampshire, which are really profound and have been going on for the last decade, almost unwatched. And now people are starting to feel the front edge of some really profound seismic shifts in the demographics of New Hampshire. Another piece is healthcare. Healthcare in New Hampshire has been relatively protected from the market forces that have existed across the country. They're starting to hit here very hard, and there are really fundamental changes in the alignment of systems and the way systems are going to be delivered. So we're paying attention to that. And then related to this question of demographics, we've seen a 10% decline in the enrollment of K through 12 in New Hampshire over the past 10 years, and anticipating another 10% decline, which is really going to shape how communities are managing their education. So state budget, demographics, healthcare, and K through 12 education we're really focusing on.
All right, well, we're really pretty much out of time in this segment, but when we return, we're going to pick up on one of those issues and we're going to focus on the demographic shifts. So please stay with us.